Assalamualaikum. Dear learners, how are you? I wish you all are well. I am also well by the grace of Almighty Allah. Today I am going to take a class on voice, and it is of imperative sentence. How to change imperative sentences from active to voice. This class will be helpful for class 8, 9 and class 10. So let's start our class. I hope you all know what is imperative sentence. Can you recognize what is imperative sentence? Obviously you can. Imperative sentence is a sentence which refers request, command, order, forbidden things, etc. So whenever you will tell someone to do something for me, it will be a request. Whenever we will advise as a person not to do something, it is also imperative sentence because I am advising her or him. And let me give some examples of imperative sentences. Do the work. It is an example of imperative sentence. You know that imperative sentence always starts without subject. Here you don't find any subject. There is no subject. Apparently there is no subject, but we know that in imperative sentences the subject is not apparent. The subject is invisible. Always the subject is invisible. So you have to think there is you. There is you. You do the work. Here in imperative sentence as a subject we should use second person. Second person as subject. But it is not visible. It is always invisible. It is an example of imperative sentence. I said that imperative sentence of different kinds. Maybe they are of request, of command, of forbidden things, or order, etc. Let me write a sentence. Do the sum. অঙ্কটি করো. Do the sum. What does the sentence mean? The sentence means order, because I gave you order or instruction. Order or instruction. The sentence may be of order or instruction. You should also know that imperative sentence may be of instruction, instructional sentence. So we have to change the sentence from active to voice. Active to voice. It is an example of active voice. We have to change the sentence to passive voice. Here we have to notice that there is no subject. So we have to use, firstly we have to use let. To change imperative sentences from active to voice passive voice, we always have to use let. At first we have to use let. Then we have to select what is the object. Here do the sum, অঙ্কটি করো. Do the sum, অঙ্কটি করো. Here we find the sum as an object. So we have to take it as after let. Let the sum. Yes, there is no subject. We don't have to use subject. have to use be, and then we have to make the main verb, and we have to change the main verb into past participle form. Let the sum be done. Here we don't need to use by because there is no subject here. Please notice that here we have not to use by because there is no subject here. So what should we do? Firstly, in imperative sentence, whenever we change imperative sentence into passive, firstly we have to use let. Then we have to use the object of the sentence, and then we have to use be, and then we have to use the past participle form of the main verb. Can you understand? I hope you will understand, and you are understanding. Let me give another example. Open the page 30. Open the page 30. This is an instructional sentence. Open the page 30. 30 number পাতাটি বা পৃষ্ঠাটি খুলো. There is no subject. So what should we do? We have to use let at first. We have to use let at first. Let. Then we have to find out the object of the sentence. The object of the sentence is the page 30. The page 30. Open the page 30. So here I have to use the page 30. Let the page 30. What should we use here? Here we should use be. Let the page 30 be, and then we have to use the past participle form of the main verb. Let the page 30 be opened. Let the page 30 be opened. Here we do not need to use but because there is no subject here, and the subject is invisible. Open the door page 30. Here we have to use let first, as it is an example of imperative sentence and it is in the form of passive. Let the page 30 be opened. I wish you understand the sentence. There are many types of imperative sentences. This is an example of affirmative sentence. There are also many sentences of negative form. Now I am giving example of negative sentence. Do not laugh at the poor. Do not laugh at the poor. গরিবদের দেখে কখনো হেসো না, বা গরিবদের কখনো তিরস্কার করো না, বা গরিবদেরকে কখনোই কি করো না, হাসার পাত্র করো না. Do not laugh at the poor. Here we find do not. You can easily understand that it is a negative sentence. It is a negative sentence. So what should we do in this case? In this case, firstly we have to use, obviously we have to use let in imperative sentences, and in this case we have to use let not, and let not, and the rest of the sentence will be transformed according to the previous sentence. Let not, we have to find out what is the object of the sentence. Here The object of the sentence is the poor. What is the object? Here, the poor is the object. So, here we have to use let not the poor. The poor. And we have to use be. Let not the poor be, and then the main verb. The past participle form of the main verb. Let not the poor be loved at. Let not the poor be loved at. Here also we don't need to use by because there is no subject. We do not find any subject here. The subject is invisible. So, what should we use? In imperative sentence, whenever we find negative form, we have to use firstly let not. Let not. Then we have to find out what is the object of the sentence, and then we have to use the object immediate after let not. Then we have to use be as rule and the past participle form of the sentence of the main verb. Past participle form of the main verb. Do not laugh at the poor. Let not the poor be laughed at. Let me give another example. Do not make noise in the class. ক্লাসের মধ্যে গোলমাল করো। Do not make noise in the class. ক্লাসের মধ্যে গোলযোগ করো না। তাহলে এখানে কি করতে হবে? Firstly, we have to notice that it is a sentence of negative. It is a negative sentence. Do not make noise in the class. ক্লাসের মধ্যে গোলযোগ করো না। Do not. So what should we use? We have to use let not. At first, we have to use let not. Then, immediate after that, we should use the object of the sentence. Let not noise. Let not noise. Then what should we use? We should use let not noise be mute. We should use be as rule and then the past participle form of the main verb and then the extension. Let not noise be made in the class. And this sentence is a sentence of order. Do not make noise in the class. ক্লাসের মধ্যে গোলযোগ তৈরি করো না। এটা হচ্ছে একটা আদেশ। এটা একজন টিচার হয়তো বাচ্চাদেরকে স্টুডেন্টদেরকে আদেশ করেছে। Do not make noise in the class. Firstly, we have to use let not. Then we have to use the object of the sentence. Then we have to use be. Then the past participle of the main verb and the extension. I wish you understand that. There is another type of sentences also. Now I am writing another types of sentence. Bring me a glass of water. Bring me a glass of water. আমার জন্য এক গ্লাস পানি নিয়ে এসো। এতক্ষণ আমরা দেখেছিলাম ভার্বটা, সেন্টেন্সটা শুরু হয়েছিল মেইন ভার্ব দিয়ে। এখানেও একটা মেইন ভার্ব আছে, there is also a main verb, and we find there is another addition. There is an object, and it is a personal object. There are some personal objects. I am writing for your help. Personal objects. Personal objects are me, us, them, you, him. Personal objects are me, us, them, you, him, her. They are personal objects. And we find there is a personal object in the sentence. Bring me a glass of water. Whenever there is a personal object just after the main verb, we have to change the sentence into passive in another row. You have to notice that, and you have to remember that what are the personal objects. Personal objects are me, us, them, you, him, her. They are personal objects. Whenever you find these objects in sentences, you have to change the imperative sentence by another group. As we know, whenever we change imperative sentence into passive voice, we obviously use let. We obviously have to use let first. Then we have to use the objective form, the object of the sentence. And here in this sentence, the object is a glass of water. So I have to use a glass of water immediately after let. Let a glass of water. What should I have to use here? As a rule, we have to use be. Then we have to use the V3 or past participle form of the main verb. What is the main verb? The main verb is bring. So I have to use the past participle form of bring. Be brought. Bring. The past participle form of bring is brought. Let a glass of water be brought, and then I have to use for. I have to use for, not by. I have to use, but we have to use for. We have to use for, brought for me. Do you understand? I am explaining. Whenever we find personal objects in any imperative sentence, we have to change the sentence in different way. Firstly, we have to use let. Then we have to use the object of the sentence. Then, as a rule, we have to use be. Then the past participle form of the sentence, and then we have to use for. We have to use for, and then the personal object. Then the personal object. Do you understand? I think you understand. Let me give another example. ইংরেজির বই কিন। বাই হিম এ নিউ ইংলিশ বুক। বাই হিম এ নিউ ইংলিশ বুক। তার জন্য একটা নতুন ইংরেজি বই কিন। তাহলে আমাদের কি ব্যবহার করতে হবে এখানে? ফার্স্টলি we have to use let, not the main verb. We have to use let. Then we have to use the object of the sentence. Let a new book. Let a new book. Then we have to use be as well. Then the past participle form of the main verb. Let a new book be bought. And then we have to use for, and then the personal object of the sentence. Then we have to use the personal object of the sentence. Here, what did we find? Here we find that whenever we use or we find any personal object just after the main verb of the imperative sentence, then we have to change the sentence in a different way. Obviously, at first we have to use let, then the object of the sentence, then be as a rule, and then the past participle form of the verb, and then for. Obviously, then we have to use for, and then the personal object. Do you understand? Dear learners, I wish you understand. If you do not understand the rules, please notify me in the comment box. There are also different types of imperative sentences. I am giving examples. There is also an imperative sentence which starts with let. Not only the basic form of an imperative sentence is started with let. Sometimes we find that an active voice of imperative sentence can also be started with let. Let me give an example. This sentence is referring partition. Let me give an example. And it is an imperative sentence. Let me give an example. আমাকে একটা উদাহরণ দিতে দাও। Let me give an example. আমাকে একটা উদাহরণ দিতে দাও। Here we find personal object just before the main verb of the sentence, and then we find object. What is the difference you find in this sentence? The examples which I gave before, there are no personal object just before the main verb. Can you notice that? Yes, there are no personal objects here just before the main verb. But here I write an example using personal object just before the main verb. And whenever we find personal objects just before let, how can we change this sentence into passive? Can you guess how can we change this sentence into passive? We have to use, firstly we obviously have to use let. have to use be as rule. Then I have to use the past participle form of the sentence. Let an example be given. For me হবে কি হবে তোমার কি মনে হচ্ছে এখানে কি হবে যেহেতু গত উদাহরণটাতে আমরা কি ব্যবহার করেছিলাম for me you can guess there will also be for me no there we have to use by as conjunction as preposition we have to use by and then we have to use the personal object. What should we use? We should use by as preposition and then the personal object. Let me give an example. আমাকে একটা উদাহরণ দিতে দাও এটাকে আমি একটা অনুমতি চাইতে পারি অথবা আমি রিকোয়েস্টও করতে পারি আচ্ছা যেটা যাই বোঝাক order or permission or request it is an example of imperative sentence. So there is let we have to use let first then we have to use the object of the sentence an example then we have to use be as rule and then the past participle form of the main verb and then we have to use by as preposition then the personal object. Please notice that sentence very carefully. Notice the sentence very carefully. I am also giving another example. Let her do the what? Let her do the what? দয়া করে তাকে কাজটি করতে দাও let her do the what তাকে কাজটি করতে দাও here we also find personal object just after let and just before the main verb. So how can we change this sentence as before as the before sentence we have to use the sentence as the same rule in the same rule. So what should we do? Firstly, we have to use let. Then the object of the sentence. Let the word. Let the word. We have to use be. Then the past participle form of the main verb. Let the word be done. Let the word be done. What should we do? What should we use here as a preposition? As a preposition, we have to use by. Here we have to use by and then the personal object. Let the word be done by her. Let the object be done by her. You understand? Please notice the sentence. Let her do the work. তাকে কাজটি করতে দাও let her do the work তাকে কাজটি করতে দাও what should we do firstly we have to use let then the object of the sentence then be as rule then past participle form of the main verb and as a preposition we have to use by and then the personal object. You can write down the examples in your notebook. I think you understand the words. There is also another example of imperative sentence and it starts with never. And it starts with never. নেভার গিভ আপ। নেভার গিভ আপ, কখনো পরিত্যাগ করো না। এই সেন্টেন্সটা ইম্পারেটিভ সেন্টেন্স হতে পারে, এটা একটা আদেশ। নেভার গিভ আপ, কখনোই পরিত্যাগ করো না অথবা কখনোই হতাশ হয় না, এই ধরনের সেন্টেন্সগুলো যদি গিভ আপটা ব্যবহৃত হয়। নেভার গিভ আপ। Whenever we find never at first in an imperative sentence, firstly we have to use let, never. Let, never. Firstly we have to use let, never. Whenever we find never, we have to use let, never. Here, never give up. Here, you will not find any object. Just there is main verb. So what should we do? Can you guess what should we do? Firstly, we have to use let, never. As there is never in passive form, we have to use let, never. Then we have to use be, and then the V3 of the main verb. Let, never be given. As we know, there is a subject which is invisible. You never give up. তুমি কখনোই আশাহত হয়ো না, কখনোই পরিত্যাগ করো না, এটা অর্থে ব্যবহার করা হচ্ছে এখানে নেভার গিভ আপ। তুমি কখনোই আশাহত হয়ো না। এখানে বোঝাচ্ছে in the passive form let never be given up, তোমার দ্বারা যেন কখনোই কি হয়, আশাহত না হওয়া হয়। এটা বোঝাতে কি ব্যবহার করা হচ্ছে? let never be given up. Let never be given up. So what should we do? Whenever we find never and we have to change it into passive form, we have to use let, never in the first form. Then we have to use be, then the V3 of the sentence, then it is finished. Can you understand? Let me give another example. Never hate the poor. Never hate the poor. কখনোই গরিবদেরকে ঘৃণা করো না। Never hate the poor. কখনোই গরিবদেরকে ঘৃণা করো না। How should we change this sentence? I think you can understand how should we change this sentence. Firstly, we have to use let, never, let, never. Then we have to use the object of the sentence, the poor. Let, never, the poor. Then we have to use what? We have to use be as rule. Then the V3 of the sentence. Let never the poor be hated. Let never the poor be hated. Let never be the poor be hated. গরিবরা কখনোই কি ঘৃণার পাত্র হওয়া উচিত নয়। কারা ঘৃণা করবে না? আমরা ঘৃণা করব না। নেভার হেট দ্য পোর, কখনোই গরিবদেরকে ঘৃণা করো না। These are the examples of imperative sentences. I think you can understand the rules. If you do not understand the rules, please notify me in the comment box. I will try to make you understand further, and I will try to discuss the topic further. This is the class today. Hope you all are well, staying at home. I am also fine. Please be safe. Stay safe, stay home, and wash your hands very carefully and stay very careful in your home. Hope we will meet very soon in my next class. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.